so much that from their investigation, a lot of these cases were as a result of people that were trapped. But when you have a situation where you have a lot of people collecting food aid, you cannot rule out instances where some people will subdue others in terms of getting access to that food. You can't rule that out. On another hand, we also have instances of some of the IDPs. I really wish I don't have to say this, but because these are people who are in very difficult situations, for you to now blame them isn't quite good. But we have had cases of some of the IDPs themselves actually selling the food, that they are being given. Unfortunately, some of them sell the food and they come to sit down, particularly the male IDPs. For whatever reason, we don't know. Right now, the mode of distribution of food aid we have reverted to the UN standard of household distribution. All the formal IDP camps that we have about 18,612 households. Now, depending on the sizes of every household, food is being given to them based on the UN standard that should serve them for 30 days.
Over 18,000.
Yeah, no, we have 18. Yeah, we
households.
have 18,012 households, and some of these households, they are family sizes of up to 15, or more, depending on the number of children and the number of wives. You can find a situation where somebody has 3 wives, with 10 children.
Off the top of your head, what's the population of the IDPs in Borno State?
The IDPs are over 2 million. We have 258,000 IDPs within 17 formal IDP camps in Maiduguri and Jere. We have 374,000 IDPs in 15 satellite camps. These satellite camps are liberated local government areas, like the case of Kalabalge, And then we have 1.5 million IDPs living in host communities of Maiduguri and Jere and some other part of the state. So there are over 2 million IDPs.
This is more or less like a world humanitarian crisis, because if you look at the figure, it is unprecedented. And I've had to visit some couple of refugee camps then doing some works, and the last was even in Ogun State, Oru refugee camp, before it shut down. But we're going back to this feeding program. We must talk about it again. How well do you carry out this feeding program, knowing full well that not everyone is within the confine of what you would call a defined camp?
Like I said, we have the International Organization of Migration. They are specialists in tracking IDPs. They have what they call data tracking matrix. They have a special way of tracking where IDPs are across the states. They work very closely with the Borno State Emergency Management Agency, the National Emergency Management Agency, the World Food Program, and the ICRC and the Danish Refugee Council. They work closely with the IOM. And then every IDP in Borno State is registered. It's registered not only because of the food, but because of security. Whenever people are liberated from wherever, maybe like when Boko Haram was attacking communities, anytime people fleeing from communities, approach Maiduguri, they were never allowed into Maiduguri by the military. The military had a very good system of screening, and the screening usually involves stakeholders. If, for instance, a particular local government area is attacked, the chairman of that local government area, some stakeholders from that local, be it district head, traditional head, ward head, are usually invited by the military to identify them. Everybody must tell the military where he's coming from, his place of residence, his parents. They were clearly identified and they were registered.
Let me quickly bring this in again. These are vulnerable people running from a well-founded fear of, some kind of violence against them. Has there been any case of sex in exchange for food or sexual molestation against these young children and girls within the camps?
There have been. This is the truth. There have been. You see, unfortunately, in all refugee or IDP camp situation, you are bound to meet all kinds of issues. Unfortunately, even outside the country, I was watching CNN the last 2-3 weeks ago. They were doing a special report on some Syrian refugees who were trading sex for food. Unfortunately, in every refugee or IDP situation, you find these kind of things. But after the report that we had, which was released by a human rights organization, if you remember, I think it was in November or so, the governor requested security agencies to deploy female undercover detectives to all the camps. And all these camps now, we have female detectives who live in these camps. They are operating. Of course, we will not begin to give the identity so that we don't compromise that. But what will surprise a lot of Nigerians is that since the establishment of these IDP camps, divisional police officers have been living in these camps. From day one, when local government areas were sacked, the governor sat down with the then commissioner of police and requested that, look, if the people of, let's say, Kuka or local government areas, the local government area have been sacked and they are now occupying a particular place in Maiduguri in the IDP camp, it wouldn't make sense for the divisional police officer who was supposed to be there to now go and start staying in the barrack in Maiduguri. It makes more sense for him to also be with them. Just like it makes sense for either the chairman of local government or some officials of the local government area to also be with them. So that has been the system. In all our camps, the divisional police officers and policemen who are actually in charge of the various local government areas actually live in the camp. You understand? And I think that is why the kind of cases that would have happened hasn't happened.
Let's close on this. Is the state overwhelmed very quickly, and what amount of help or assistance would you be needing?
The state is overwhelmed. There's no two ways to it. A situation where you have over 2 million people depending on arms, depending on feeding. You know, the ICRC, the World Food Program, they have the luxury. They have been very, very dedicated. They have the luxury of writing to the Borno State government and saying that, look, by 28th of next month, we are likely not to have stock of food. And the moment they tell us that, the state government has to step in because it's our responsibility. Like I said, NEMA hasn't given us food in the last 3 months, but the state government cannot tell IDPs that we don't have food for you. It's our responsibility. We keep doing it. The state government is overwhelmed. We need all the help that we can get. But like the governor is saying, whatever help that should come, the focus should always be on the IDPs, on priorities, and working with the locals to establish the priority needs of the IDPs.
Good a place to rest this. Issa Gusau is the Special Assistant on Communication and Strategy to the Governor of Borno State. It's a pleasure speaking with us on the plight of the IDPs, and we do hope we'll take the conversation beyond this. We'll take a moment and we'll come back shortly.